In the next of the series of beer-fueled videos, behold the Martin Industries Sahara 20 automatic dehumidifier. This was a garbage picked unit. I found it many years ago. I don't know much about it. From what I understand, this used to be made by McGraw Edison, was sold to Martin Industries, who then I believe sold it off to GE. But this is an actual Martin Industries. I don't have a date on it. I'd say it's probably from the 80s. I don't have the original bucket, so this was a hack job I came up with. This was kind of a project unit when I found it, because I didn't have a bucket or anything for it. The bucket would actually jut out the back anyways. This hasn't run in certainly 5 years, possibly longer. It's in a little bit rough shape, and I did have to do a number of redneck repairs to this. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and get the cabinet off of it and take a look inside before we fire it up to see if it even still works. A couple of nuts, one on either side. There's supposed to be 6, but there's only 4 because 2 in the middle are missing that we got to take out here and there. And then underneath the plastic front, those got to come out, and then you got to pull the knob, pry down over here, and pull it out. So let's get started. Okay, we're back, and we have the cabinet off, and we have none other than the person who would be more infatuated with dehumidifiers than I would be, Sharky626.
Hi guys.
All right, so we're here, and we're going to kind of do a little collab on this thing. Now, like I said, this had some redneck repairs and some trouble and all kinds of good stuff with it. So we'll start just with the pan in the back here. There is a bucket that is supposed to go to this model. I don't have it. I didn't find it thrown out with the unit. There is a switch here that'll be triggered when it's full, but that's non-existent now. What I did is I took this little Tupperware from the dollar store, which I guess the plastic has aged quite nicely over the years, and I just put it in with some 3 bolts, just self-tapping. Just put them in years ago. This thing, the compressor ran when I found it, but the fan motor was shot. I forget if it was open circuit or not. Interesting design on the coils. They're all boingy on the back like that, and it always made that rattly sound. And this is why you don't keep a dehumidifier in your basement and not run it, because of all this rust. This lived in my dad's basement for years, and it's funny because he could have just turned it on, but no, don't want to do that. Wouldn't want to dehumidify a dehumidifier. So anyway, in here you can see the fins in between the fan blades here, and they're kind of mashed because the fan is a story in and of itself. This is not the original motor. The original motor mounted up here and here, but that wasn't going to work. The original motor was probably open circuit or something. It was just totally dead, no fixing it, not even worth fixing it. So I had this motor, which was out of some sort of machine. I don't know what. It's a 1 amp motor, I forget the RPM. But the problem is it spun in the opposite direction, and the shaft on it was a little bit smaller in diameter than the original motor. So what I had to do is bend this bracket outwards, as you see, kind of on this angle here, and then bend it sharply in the center so I can get just what I needed. And it's just barely mounted, but it's nice and tight, and it's not going anywhere. To mount the fan blades, because the hole in the blades was smaller, you can see there's actually a hose clamp on it. And you'd say, but wouldn't that make it out of balance? And the answer is, I'd think so, but apparently it doesn't. I think it only shakes when you first turn it on, but then not after. So there's not really much more to say here except to basically give this a shot and fire it up. Again, this hasn't run in certainly 5 years. I fixed it, I held on to it for a while, gave it to my sister for a while, then she didn't need it. She gave it back to me. I didn't need it, so it ended up in my dad's. He used it once for a couple days, and then it sat idle since then. So anyway, we'll get this plugged in, we'll give it a go.
Alright guys, so here we go. We're going to try plugging it in now.
Should be off.
It is off. plugged in, nothing happened.
Or it's dead. We don't know.
Well, we don't know yet.
It should be off, but we'll give it a shot.
All right, so we're going to turn this all the way clockwise, kind of like you would on the Kenmore one that we made the video of.
Right, now before you do so, first of all, we just want to make sure we don't short any of that to the case.
Yeah, exactly. Make sure
just to make sure
there's no metal touching.
And the second thing is hopefully the compressor will run. This looks to be like it's a reciprocating compressor.
I think it is.
The sound I seem to remember it making when it turned on seemed to indicate that it was that, and just based on its overall shape, it probably is a recip. Usually scrolls are tall and thin.
So,
but we'll give this a shot. So first time in certainly 5 years, maybe longer.
All right, let's see what happens.
Right on.
Yeah, it did start right up. Look at that. Compressor's pretty quiet.
It is quiet, and I'm actually worried about that.
Yeah.
Now the rattly sound is from the motor. This motor always made that sound. You see it is slightly off balance. You can just tell right here the little shakiness, but that really doesn't make a difference in the end. The fan, like I said, is, this motor I think spun the other direction, so I actually put the fan blades on backwards also to kind of two wrongs make a right kind of thing. And the compressor's running. I think it's barely starting to get cold.
Because there's a little bit of heat on the back, but I mean,
if you feel in the center, right in the middle.
Yeah, the center. Want to make sure it's not too low because all that rust, you know, not sure.
It may have leaked out. It may work for a little bit and die. It may not. We don't know. But it also hasn't run in forever, so we're going to let this sit and cook for a while, and we'll come back and see what happens. It's only been about 2 or 3 minutes, and you can see the coil is sweating, and it certainly is cold, and it actually started to drip. Now, it was just a drip there. I don't know if you saw. Now, the way this works, what does it feel like on the back?
It feels like it's getting a little bit of warmth, so it could just be it didn't run for a long time.
Yeah. So the way this works with the bucket is you have to be diligent about emptying this every day. It goes into this as like a catch basin. I drilled 3 holes in it, as you can see along there, and you put a bigger container, like a pan, under that, and it drips in there, and then you just have to empty it once in a while, and that really is all there is to it. So we're going to let it run for a little while and maybe clean it out with some compressed air or some other good stuff like that, and let's see what else we'll get up to with this. Alright, so here we are maybe 7 to 10 minutes in, and certainly nice and cold. You can see all the condensation. And what's really nice is if you're boiling it real good, look at all that water pour out right into the pan there. And eventually that'll make its way to these holes and obviously just drip on the table for now. And that'll be that. But we're going to try to hot restart it. We'll try using the float switch. I forget if I disconnected that or not. I think it's still there and working. So if you want to give that a go.
Alright, let's see what happens. Oh, it stopped.
Okay.
And once the fan stops, I'll let go of it and see what happens.
Didn't start yet.
No, I think it clicked off when the fan wrapped up like that.
That's just vibration from the motor.
Yeah, no, it's not running.
Tried again, it didn't work.
Wait, it clicks a lot faster than
it does. So this may actually be a number of iterations before it fires. There we go.
Oh, wow, just like that. Hope some of the water's coming off onto the table.
Oh, it is now, eh?
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Oh, she's a runner.
She does run, though.
Now, I don't have any real information on it, other than what I can show you here on the nameplate, and you'll just have to read it for what it is, because it's very hard for me to see here in the sun on the viewfinder. It does say you could write to them, so that indicates it's older. This was 430 watts, which is what intrigued me, because it was actually pretty low, but it is only 20 pints per hour, so it's not really a big thing. Interestingly enough, there's actually a circuit diagram here, and they refer to the humidity sensor as a humidistat back here.
Oh, do they really?
They do, yeah. It's on that sticker back there.
There you go.
But again, I don't have a date on this. I think it's from somewhere in the 80s, probably early 80s. It's been around the block. You can see that rust under there.
But going by the evaporator coil design, I think this is older than the Kenmore one that we
I believe so.
Yeah, I think this is definitely older.
I certainly believe so. So we're going to clean this up a bit and put the cabinet back on and probably have one more final run-up of it. And then once we do that, we'll stick them in the garage and let them run all day and see what it does. Okay, all back together. Even oiled the fan motor. Everything's all set and ready to roll. Blew it out with compressed air and put it up on the workbench in the garage here with a watt meter, and we'll fire it up. And I think it said 430 watts. Obviously it will take more to start it, and we'll see where it'll even out. So here we go. Oh, I love that kind. So I'll let that settle for a little bit, and we'll come back to the final wrap-up. Okay, so that's about where it's sitting. Now, the plate and the amount of current and wattage that it said is not the same as what it pulls now, because the motor that's in it is not original. It's different, and that motor, I think itself, pulls about 90 to 100 watts. So without that, you'd probably be looking at 340 watts just for the compressor alone. So this is actually a pretty efficient enough unit. It does only do 20 pints in a day, so it's certainly not a lot, but it certainly seems to work well enough. I know it's rattly in that, but that motor was not in the greatest of shape to begin with. And the way everything had to be done on it, instead of the right way, just the redneck way, this is what you end up with. Something that's functional and works, but may not be as pristine as it once was. But she lives again. So hooray for Martin Industries and the Sahara 20 automatic dehumidifier. Thanks so much for watching. Make sure you click like. Make sure you click subscribe. We'll see you next time. Take care.